Tonight, we thought we'd do something that we should have done a long, long time ago, and that's send Eunice to a psychiatrist.
Carol Burnett, the beloved comedian and actress, has a reputation for being warm and kind to everyone she meets. But at 92 years old, Burnett has revealed that there was one person she truly despised more than anyone else. In her memoir, Burnett shared a shocking story about a famous celebrity who rubbed her the wrong way, and her candid admission has left fans stunned. So who was the person that earned Burnett's ire, and what did they do to incur her wrath? Join us to find out. Carol Burnett and Joe Hamilton's silent battle. Underneath the glitz and glamour of the Carol Burnett Show, which entertained audiences nationwide with laughter, a hidden conflict was growing between Carol Burnett and her spouse, Joe Hamilton. Once considered a dynamic duo in the world of television, their shared passion and affection became the very source of their eventual rift. Their journey started in the early 1960s. Carol was gaining popularity on The Garry Moore Show for her charm and humor. Joe Hamilton, an established TV producer, exuded confidence and poise. Being a decade her senior, he was respected for his years in the industry. Their paths crossed during a recording at CBS in New York, and Carol sensed a unique connection. In just 3 years, they tied the knot in a modest California wedding, celebrating with their nearest and dearest. In the late 1960s, their collaboration peaked. The debut of The Carol Burnett Show in 1967 marked the beginning of their successful partnership, with Joe overseeing production and Carol taking center stage. Together, they created a work of art that quickly became a beloved fixture on American TV screens. While Carol infused the show with humor and warmth, Joe brought structure and guidance. Their synergy appeared flawless to onlookers. However, away from the spotlight, the once vibrant laughter started to diminish. With increasing fame came growing tension. Joe began asserting more authority over creative choices in the mid-1970s. He started scrutinizing scripts, agreeing on guests, and frequently rejecting Carol's suggestions for emotional skits, arguing that pure comedy was more effective. Their relationship grew more strained as their popularity surged. Despite Carol's reputation for being kind and affectionate, she found it difficult to comprehend the transformation of her once loving partner into a person she could hardly recognize. Whispers began to circulate next. Sometime around 1979, gossip started to circulate around the workplace regarding Joe's excessive interactions with a young CBS editor. Initially, Carol chose to ignore the rumors, maintaining her trust in her husband. However, when she accidentally overheard coworkers discussing the matter, she felt shattered. The individual she had invested her life and career in was gradually drifting away. The ultimate act of disloyalty was not due to personal feelings, but rather business matters. During the early 1980s, it was revealed by Carol's attorney that Joe had quietly filed various production ventures under his own company, Hamilton Productions. Among these projects was Mama's Family, which had originated from a concept that Carol had contributed to, yet her name had been omitted from the credits. This discovery marked the turning point when everything unraveled. In 1983, Carol initiated divorce proceedings. Although the news was short-lived, the ensuing legal dispute proved to be protracted and excruciating. Joe insisted on obtaining complete control over the Carol Burnett Show and its earnings. Carol, on the other hand, was resolute in safeguarding the joint legacy they had established. The courtroom transformed into their ultimate battleground for nearly 12 months. In 1984, the judge made a decision that allowed Carol to retain the show's name, but Joe would receive 40% of the profits from syndication. This ruling was a mix of triumph and sorrow. Following their separation, Carol distanced herself from all of Joe's endeavors. His subsequent works failed to achieve the same level of success, and by the year 1991, when he passed away, their narrative had morphed into one of the lesser-known tragedies of Hollywood. But this was just the beginning of a long list of people she hated. Stay with us. When Laughter Met Pride, Cary Grant. In 1968, Hollywood was a dazzling world filled with celebrities, prestigious awards, and constant admiration. This was a time of allure, where iconic actors from the big screen mingled with upcoming television stars. Carol Burnett rose to fame as the comedic queen, captivating millions of fans with her hit show, The Carol Burnett Show. Meanwhile, Cary Grant, the iconic symbol of old Hollywood, was honored with a prestigious award recognizing his lifetime of achievement. The evening was intended to honor both the old and new generations of talent, yet it concluded with unforeseen tension. That night, the Beverly Hilton Hotel was radiant. The grand ballroom was filled with the sparkle of champagne and joy. Carol made her entrance in a striking red dress created by Bob Mackie, exuding a sense of assurance and compassion. On the opposite side of the room, Cary Grant was seated among his classic Hollywood companions in his iconic black tuxedo. Following the event, Carol made the choice to approach him and extend her felicitations. However, as she made her way towards his table, there was a noticeable change in the atmosphere. An attempt was made by a director in the vicinity to disrupt the uncomfortable quietness by praising Carol's show and mentioning how popular it was in America. Grant responded with a smile, but there was a hint of superiority in his demeanor. He casually criticized Carol's comedic style as being too loud and exaggerated, claiming it lacked sophistication. His words landed heavily, causing the previously cheerful atmosphere to turn into a shocked hush. Carol maintained a polite smile, although her expression shifted subtly. She responded gracefully but firmly before departing, leaving everyone at a loss for words. The following day, there was a lot of gossip in Hollywood. An article in the Los Angeles Times mentioned an encounter between Cary Grant and Carol Burnett at the Hilton, suggesting that Grant disapproved of Burnett's down-to-earth humor that resonated with regular people. This news quickly circulated throughout the entertainment industry. Some people supported Grant, stating that he was just joking. Others viewed it as the condescending behavior of a former movie star towards the rising star of television. CBS promptly showed support for Carol, praising her wit as being rooted in compassion and wisdom. While the official statement was issued, it was common knowledge that it was directed towards Grant. Carol opted to stay quiet, prioritizing grace over conflict. On the other hand, Grant heightened the animosity by criticizing contemporary TV comedy for its apparent lack of sophistication in a subsequent interview. Although he didn't explicitly mention her name, it was widely acknowledged who he was referring to. Carol remained unfazed by the rumors and attention surrounding her. During that time, The Carol Burnett Show saw a surge in viewership, leading to numerous Emmy wins for Carol and a devoted fan base. Viewers inundated CBS with letters commending Carol for her genuine and charming presence. This passage expresses that, in the future, when Paramount offered her a role in a musical with Grant, she politely rejected the opportunity. She explained to her friends that she had no interest in working with someone who did not value the humor of women. Yet fate had more wars in store for her. Let's dive into it. Carol Burnett and the Saturday Night Divide. For almost half a century, there has been a lingering question in the world of American television.
Favorite sketch comedy shows on television?
Well, Saturday Night Live when it's good.
Yeah, when it's good.
Yeah.
Have you done it?
No.
Why was Carol Burnett, a legendary figure in comedy, never given the opportunity to host Saturday Night Live? Many found it perplexing, considering her status as a beloved icon in sketch comedy. Despite her widespread popularity, SNL, the renowned comedy show of the nation, never extended an invitation to her. In order to grasp the reasons behind this occurrence, we need to go back to the year 1975. At that time, Saturday Night Live made its debut on NBC under the guidance of a youthful Canadian producer called Lorne Michaels. He was introducing a fresh genre of comedy which was incisive, bold, and nonconformist. Concurrently, on CBS, The Carol Burnett Show was in its 8th season and maintained its position as the top-rated show nationwide. Burnett's comedic approach was affectionate, gentle, and heartfelt. In contrast, Michaels' approach was characterized by satire, political commentary, and audacity. The contrast in their comedic styles was stark. Critics proposed that Burnett make an appearance on SNL to bring together different generations of comedy enthusiasts, but the idea was not well received. Within NBC, there were discussions about including her in the 2nd season, but Michaels rejected the suggestion, stating that she was not in line with the show's style. Rumors began circulating that he considered her a relic of old television, contrasting with his vision of innovative content. In the early 80s, rumors started to spread more widely about Burnett's desire to host, but the network remained unresponsive. An article in the Washington Post raised concerns about why the highly esteemed female comedian had not been given the opportunity. NBC was inundated with letters from fans demanding an explanation, but the network only provided a vague response, stating that guest hosts were selected according to the theme of each season. This explanation failed to convince many people. Burnett never voiced her dissatisfaction openly, but those who knew her well claimed that she felt let down. She had established herself in her profession by being compassionate and welcoming, assisting numerous women in advancing in a field dominated by men. Being excluded from a prominent television platform felt like being subtly dismissed. When questioned about it sometime later, she responded with a gentle smile, suggesting that maybe she did not possess the trendy edge that they were looking for. As time went by, Burnett and Michaels exchanged no words. Years later, during a Television Academy event in Los Angeles, the awkwardness between them was palpable. While the audience stood up to applaud Burnett's speech, Michaels remained seated when it was her turn to speak, maintaining an air of grace and distance. This moment was captured on camera and featured on various entertainment programs as one of the most frosty encounters in Hollywood. The tale could have been forgotten over time, but it resurfaced in 2023 when NBC honored Carol Burnett with a special titled Carol Burnett, 90 Years of Laughter and Love.
Now, we all know that the actual Mrs. Wiggins belongs to the one and only Carol.
And your incredible life, and I want to say congratulations to all of your singular, amazing accomplishments and your legendary career.
When questioned about it, she calmly stated that she thought they didn't want her, but she also didn't need them. This simple statement ended almost 5 decades of silence. Fans took to social media in droves within a short period of time, urging NBC to rectify the situation. However, Carol Burnett, always gracious, had already shifted her focus. She had demonstrated that genuine comedy doesn't require validation. It perseveres on its own. When two legends collided. 1977 marked the beginning of a daring new era for The Carol Burnett Show. Harvey Korman, longtime co-star and comedic partner of Carol Burnett, bid farewell after 10 years of successful collaboration. In search of a worthy replacement, CBS turned to none other than Dick Van Dyke, the iconic actor known for his roles in Mary Poppins and The Dick Van Dyke Show. Hollywood was excited. The Los Angeles Times published a positive headline on August 15th, praising the collaboration of two American television icons. CBS started a large-scale advertising campaign in Los Angeles, featuring Carol and Dick sharing laughs as a comedic power duo. However, the initial excitement soon waned as hidden tensions began to emerge. Despite the happy appearances and cheerful posters, a silent conflict was starting to brew, unseen by the public. Since their initial practice session at CBS Television City, it was clear that there was a clash in styles between Dick and Carol. Dick, with a background in the disciplined pace of Broadway and film, favored a slower tempo and impactful dialogue. On the other hand, Carol, who grew up in the dynamic spur-of-the-moment realm of live television, excelled in quick timing and genuine responses. Initially, Carol made an effort to adjust, maintaining a smile during rehearsals despite feeling constrained. However, as the third week approached, her frustration started to become apparent. While practicing, Dick abruptly halted in the middle of a scene, glanced at his script, and criticized the content for being too gentle, lacking impact. The room grew silent as Carol wordlessly left backstage. Everyone remained still, feeling a sense of letdown in the air. That incident marked a turning point. Gossip travels quickly. An article in TV Guide suggested that the once harmonious collaboration had soured into a collision of comedic styles. Despite CBS's efforts to suppress the rumors, word had already gotten out in Hollywood that the dynamic between Carol and Dick had deteriorated. Their lack of communication offstage was apparent. By October, the situation had escalated to a critical point. In a unique episode that showcased Lucille Ball, Dick paused yet again during a scene and expressed frustration that he was unable to generate laughter with this type of gentle comedy. Though Carol maintained her smile, her eyes revealed the real story. The following week, Dick failed to show up for a recording session without giving any prior notice. CBS promptly restructured the show by having Carol refilm crucial scenes with her former cast members. The network issued a composed statement citing scheduling conflicts as the reason for the changes. But those familiar with the production knew the actual situation. Dick had reached his breaking point. Later in the year, during a press briefing, Dick confessed that he had a great respect for Carol, but gravitated toward more structured and energetic comedy. He mentioned that he found her show to be too mild. His comments were published by Variety, leading to fans interpreting them as offensive. In response, CBS was inundated with letters from viewers showing their support for Carol, commending her for her warmth and distinct comedic style. Carol remained poised throughout the ordeal. When inquired about the circumstance, she calmly stated, "Humor transcends gender. It's either authentic or it's not." Her composed response spoke volumes. Dick Van Dyke's time on the show was brief, lasting just 6 episodes. The season's conclusion was uneventful, lacking any festivities. During CBS's commemorative special for the Carol Burnett show's 10th anniversary in 1980, Dick's absence from the guest list spoke volumes about conflicts among legends and partnerships that were never meant to endure. Stick around, let's find out who she hated the most and the events that led up to this level of hate. The parody that went too far. In 2007, Hollywood reached a point where it was difficult to distinguish between humor and offense. Popular satirical programs such as South Park and Family Guy dominated American television with their fearless and unapologetic humor. Within this environment, Seth MacFarlane was viewed as a courageous creative mind. However, his most audacious move would eventually push boundaries by ridiculing Carol Burnett, a treasured American icon. It all started calmly. Fox broadcasted an episode of Family Guy called Peterotica on April 23, 2006. In the midst of the episode, there was a brief period of silence, lasting only a few seconds with no words or music. A janitor showed up, wearing a blue uniform, a head covering, and carrying a mop. For those who were raised during the prime time of television, this scene was immediately recognizable. It bore a striking resemblance to Charwoman, the gentle and modest character Carol Burnett had portrayed over 200 times on The Carol Burnett Show.
The Charwoman, that's our kind of our logo. I created her many, many years ago, and she is kind of a sad soul. She never had a name, and she never spoke.
However, this instance was different as it was neither gentle nor humorous. It was inappropriate, derisive, and highly disrespectful. The cherished emblem of diligence and virtue was transformed into a source of ridicule. That evening, Fox's headquarters received a deluge of irate phone calls. The following day, both Variety and The Hollywood Reporter published articles labeling the incident as an error that crossed a line. Longtime viewers who had appreciated Carol's subtle wit for years were particularly dismayed. 73-year-old Carol Burnett found out about the parody while at her residence in Santa Monica from her manager, whom she has known for a long time. Upon hearing the news, she remained silent and reflected on how Charwoman was not just a fictional character, but a beloved figure in people's lives. This realization prompted Carol to make a decision within a year. On April 16, 2007, she took legal action against 20th Century Fox Television and Seth MacFarlane in a federal court in Los Angeles. In a 20-page legal document, she claimed they had infringed on her copyrighted image and harmed her artistic standing. She requested $2 million in compensation, not for monetary gain, but as a gesture of honoring her work. The media characterized it as a clash between different eras of comedy. In June of that year, there was a hearing overseen by Judge Dean Pregerson. Carol did not appear in person, instead sending a composed video statement expressing her feelings. She clarified that her cause was not about money, but about being treated with dignity, emphasizing that certain personalities are meant to be cherished in the audience's recollections, not manipulated by others' creativity. The legal team representing Fox contended that the disputed scene fell under the protection of parody rights, with Seth MacFarlane supporting it as a comedic tribute to her heritage. Nevertheless, his remarks only intensified the backlash. On July 3rd, the court decision deemed the case as fair use according to parody law and subsequently dismissed it. Carol chose not to challenge the ruling and simply stated she acted based on her beliefs. Despite not emerging victorious in court, she managed to capture the hearts of the audience. A subsequent nationwide survey indicated that the majority of individuals supported her, emphasizing the importance of respect in humor. Many years later, at the CBS 70th anniversary event in Los Angeles, fate united Carol and Seth in the same row of the audience. Carol, sitting upright and elegant, softly applauded as the camera panned over them. Seth, seated behind her, gave a respectful nod. Without looking back, Carol conveyed a message in that brief, quiet moment. Certain boundaries, once breached, remain etched in memory forever. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.